Warning. The content on this channel is not intended or suitable for minors below 13 years of age. If that is you, please click off and come back when you're older. By continuing beyond this point, you affirm that you are 13 years of age or older.
What's up? What is going on, swears? We are back with a side-by-side. I don't do a lot of these, but I happened to buy Cat Interstellar, and then I saw Recast, and so I got that also. And I was thinking about doing two separate videos, but I think I'm going to do them both in the same video. And I think there's extra stuff in Recast, so if that is the case, that one will run a little bit longer, and we'll send it back to full screen. But the short story that this comes from Heinlein is definitely one of my favorites. So I really had to play this game to see what this is all about. The first game just starts right up. It just gets right into it. It's already crashed once, so we'll see how long this experiment goes. But let's get into it. Okay, so here I tried to sync everything up as close as possible, but there's a lot of areas where it won't be, so I actually wound up using markers, so at times it'll sync, at times it won't. But you can see visually here, this is where you start. You start on the spaceship, and there's just a lot more detail in the Recast. And there's also two sections actually where you can start the your adventure. Start the departure, different chapters and so on. You can replay different chapters, but there's two areas, so I tried to keep them similar here. And a lot of this is me wandering through the ship. I tried to get some of the shots the same. You can see this is a really good example there of how much more detail is in the Unreal 4 version of this. Contrast and shadowing is just huge difference. So the Recast, there's not as much footage because the first time I played it, I actually played Interstellar first, and I did a lot of fucking around. You can see I'm trying to figure out what does what, because I didn't bother to read the instructions. And of course there's a shot where you're looking at I'm sure it's a clear acrylic floor, I'm sure it's not glass. Glass would be, actually both would be pretty crazy weight-wise to have there. I think plastic would be a little bit less, so I'm assuming that's what it is, but I'm not sure what purpose there would be to having an actual clear floor though. I mean, it looks really cool as a visual, but I don't understand how that's functional. There's a shot on the right of more detail from the Recast version. And of course here's the screen where you can choose your departure. This is the same on both of these two.
Reach your destination.
This scene, I think, is one of the more... you can really see some crazy differences here in the two ships. The dog on the right is definitely the cooler of the two. Like, I really like what they did. It's almost like they redid everything on it. So on the left, you can see there's just these huge areas of white. Even the propulsor things are actually somewhat white. And then on the right, you have... I can see I'm getting the achievements at the same time, kind of. But I didn't know that those would actually sync. That's kind of funny. Here on the right, you can see that there's so much contrast, and I'm knocking shit over. One of the funnest things I had to do was play with the environment here. So I spent a lot of time just knocking crap over, like chairs and everything else. When you get into the hallway with the light, that contrast is just really bright on the side with the Unity engine, the Recast. The thing with this is I was really wondering how worthwhile this was going to be to actually redo all this because the Interstellar itself, the one on the left, is not bad. Like there's it's not like it's bad or anything. But obviously the better engine on the right, it's just way more visually stunning. There's a lot of really cool detail and nuance that just didn't show up in the first one. I spent a lot of time just messing around with stuff just to see if there was, I don't know if there's secrets or anything in here, but I just wanted to really check out the environment. I really like what they did with the space station. It looks like they have gravity on the ship for whatever reason. There's a tree growing in the middle of it. The trees, you can see there's a pretty huge contrast there. It's a throwaway in the first one, and then in the second one you've got kind of this, you know, they just spent more time with the detail. This is nutty in here too, actually. You can see how bright and green it is on the one on the left. And then when we get into, I actually love how it does that with the propulsion. But you get in there, it's just, this is dark. Like it's dark and dank on the recast side. I was trying to, there's a thing where you can kind of sort of shoot stuff. I was trying to see if I could shoot any of those guys. Or if I could turn them hostile or anything like that. This part we hang out, we have a little bit of a conversation here. There I'm testing on the recast side. I'm playing around with what is basically a jump button. They call it a gravity lift in this game. I'm almost inclined to think the one on the left, the Interstellar, actually goes a little bit faster in terms of on-camera or in-game speed than the one on the right does. It seemed like it did. That might just be me though, because there's not. It would make sense because there's more detail, obviously, but that might just be me and my perception. But it seems like we're looking here. It looks like they're cruising. The one on the left seems like it's going somewhat faster than the one on the right. So that again, that could just be. I like the steam effects. There's not as many of those in the original game. And actually, one fun thing about the original game coming up, actually, once we get to the surface, is, and I'll point it out when we get there, is just the surface of Mars itself is vastly changed in the recast. So a lot of this stuff you don't need to do, but I'm just kind of messing around here to just explore stuff. The one on the left, the Interstellar, seems like it's washed out a little bit. Comparatively, anyway. So I never figured out how to actually use the gravity lift to do this. I think I tried it and then gave up. Because I would just rather blow up the door. Just tear it down. Get that shit out of here. There, I'm knocking over lights. in the recast, this tunnel is like it doesn't do anything in the game, but I decided to explore it just to kind of see what was around. There are achievements for doing stuff like that, I guess. Alright, taking the elevator. Elevators don't look too dissimilar, I guess. I don't remember now why I paused on the Interstellar part, but this part is not like super critical of the game, but there you can get a view outside, and a lot of the cool rock striations and stuff showed up really nice on the recast side. I mean, Interstellar itself, though, has got a lot of really clean lines in it. I actually kind of like this part here. Like I said, I don't know how much value there is to actually doing a lot of this, but until we get to the surface. Once we get to the surface, it is crazy obvious the changes. Alright, so on Interstellar, I'm already at the surface, and I spent a lot of time screwing around exploring all this, which I didn't obviously do in the second, the recast side. But you can see it's, you know, a lot of stuff is washed out, bleached out, like you would expect from Mars. I mean, it's a decent looking Mars. But if you look at the right there, where we've got all this just nutty shadowing and stuff, it's night and day different. Okay, so because I didn't have to go exploring and messing around with the recast because I'd already played this section, I just kind of we're gonna pause and just go through the Interstellar now, where I did some of the exploring. What's interesting is that there is sections where you can do different things with the engine, but I think you have to go into developer mode or something like that to look at it, and that's not anything I care about or am interested in doing in this game. So that's the sky elevator over there. So the guy won't let us into the mines until we help with the elevator. And then on the ship, I wasn't paying attention at the time, but on the ship the guy wants us to help with fertilizer. So this guy has lost a box of fuel rods, or plutonium rods, which is interesting that the wind blew them away. Plutonium rods would be fairly heavy. It'd be a strong wind to blow those away. There is a gigantic pit down there, and you can't really die in this game, but you can sort of crash dog, and all it does is resets you to a flat platform when you do. And there's some of that we will see actually coming up as well. So anyway, here's the station. For this part here, you have to turn on F, which is normally flashlight in these when you're using the keyboard. Here it actually will let you detect the plutonium, like that guy was talking about in the lab, the plutonium detector thing. But for whatever reason, I didn't have it on, so I wound up going through this entire map trying to see where the stupid box of plutonium rods might be hidden. So that's what a lot of this is me just going around doing this stuff. You can't run into those guys either. I did try that. I tried to smash dog into the androids, and it won't let me do that. I tried to go over the rocks. You can't do that. I mean, there's some interesting boundaries here. There is an actual hard boundary somewhere, and I think there's an achievement for it, but I didn't get that far into it. I was, for the most part, just kind of screwing around with this to see what was what. See, there's a smattering of rocks there. Make a note of that because that will be something important once we get back to the recast. So you can see there's just random piles of rocks just kind of strewn about, but nothing. They're just obviously just sort of background texture. You can see they obviously just made a little pile here, just like randomly. But it looks like just little piles that a developer just kind of threw in there. Just almost a throwaway. And maybe that's why they decided to redo this, because a lot of this does look a little bit throwaway-ish. And of course I get over here, and then see you can toss stuff. This is the thing that we put the fertilizer in. I should have tried to fly in the garden, actually. I didn't think about it at the time. I kind of wish I would have done that now. That's me playing around with controls again. It occurs to me that I might have just read the instructions and saved a lot of this, but... So I didn't know where to actually put the fertilizer, so first of all I tried to put it here, which didn't do anything. I don't understand why they're asking me to do this though. Like why am I putting fertilizer in your fucking machine, dude? Like I feel like you should be doing that. Alright. So, anyway, that's all it is. Thanks, bro. See you later. So there's these green sort of lights that show you where the quasi roads are. Or I guess they'd be more like paths on this. This is a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed this part, I think, probably the most. Because I really like zooming around in Dog. I thought that was a lot of fun. And just the idea that this is like Mars, to me, was really, really exciting. I really dug this. I mean, you could almost make a case that for being something somewhat Dune-like, I suppose, as well. There's the sky elevator over to the right. And these, I assume, are probably solar panels. So naturally, I tried to drive into them and on top of them.
Hard to believe we're still maintaining big projects like this. The solar array has to be constantly maintained. Provides a fraction.
So yeah, I suppose you would need to constantly maintain it. But I think it would probably get sanded pretty well because you can't really see it as well here in this section, but there's like windstorms a lot, and you can kind of see the windstorms. So this is the same section here, which is off to the right of the tip. Look at the insane differences. Like we have the one on the right actually sort of makes sense. The one on the left is just so, it's like a freeway, it's just plain. The scattering of rocks is just, I mean, it's such a beautiful touch to this. I really appreciated this. Greenhouse, there's slightly more detail. I don't know that there's a lot more. But look at the difference in contrast in the sand. Like, it is nutty. It is crazy how much better it looks in this particular section. Especially in terms of the shadowing and the contrast and so on. That's why I can't figure out how to put the fucking fertilizer in. Alright, on the left, I think we're going back to... Oh, I remember I got pissed because I couldn't figure out where the fucking thing was. I finally remember to turn on the flashlight, so I'm going back to the sky elevator to start over again to see if I can pick up some of the trail from there. On the right side, I'm driving into the poles. Look at this contrast though. This is gorgeous. Like this section alone, I think makes a strong case for how worthwhile it was to redo this. This section, I don't know if this actual just the solar arrays look a lot better. I think I mean they're fine, but this is obviously just there for sort of texture. So, all right, so we're gonna meet up with the Interstellar game over at the Sky Elevator. But here's this the recast just by itself. That weird view is because I actually dropped my mouse on the floor. And of course, I'm not going to edit that out because I know how much you all love to see stuff like that. All right, so this makes more sense. The way the rocks are scattered and stuff, this just is a lot more logical to the approach to things here. There, I tried to jump to get more speed, which you really can't do. This the speed of the dog is limited in this, I think, because of all the detail. This is another interesting part too. Okay, so we're gonna come into. You can run into the rocks too, which I discovered there. I spent a lot of time running into the rocks. All right, so you can see. Here's the differences in what this scanning looks like with these. So you can see I've actually overdriven somehow the scanning. I don't know, it's like this is walking. It doesn't look like it's being blown by wind. But anyway, you can see there's the huge difference between the two. Like you can barely see those things in the regular Interstellar, except for they're glowing pretty good there. They're a lot more subtle in the recast. But look at the texture of just the sand and the box and everything else. This is wild. I think so Interstellar looks good, but I think the recast looks very good. I wouldn't say it's quite great yet. Okay, so in this one, the one on the left, I'm going to actually do what I'm supposed to be doing here. The one on the right, I'm going to try to crash dog. So he's giving me the too bad, so sad business. All right, both of these we need to go and restart it. So why am I doing this though? Why am I setting the skylight up? Like, why can't you do it? It's your fucking job, bro. All right, the other one's waiting for us, so let's join up with that. I wish I would have tried the first one to actually run to the poles. I wish I would have figured that out. This pathway is so much better though. Like look at it. It's not gonna run into more stuff again. This is, I think, where they must have spent a lot of time on the detail. Just this section right here. Can't do anything with that guy, so. It's also, like I said, the shadowing is so much more intense on the recast side. Like they clearly are using much better contrast. All right, so now we're in the mine. Well, we will be. Here, I'm just gonna throw random boxes around for whatever reason. The color is a lot better actually in the recast too. Like there's a really crazy bluish tint to the Interstellar side. And this is, by the way, just, it's the same laptop, same camera, everything. And there's no color tuning at all on this. these guys are doing inventory, so naturally we have to sort of try to interfere with that. On the left side, I thought it'd be better to just fly into things. Lovely. I don't know if this is actually underground, this mine. I'm assuming it is. But I should have looked up to actually see if you could see this. It's bright enough that I think it's open, but I don't know. Okay, so a little explanation here. The one on the right side, I obviously had gotten this all figured out by him, and I just kind of go through it step by step. So if you want to know how to do it step by step, the one on the right is the one to pay attention to, except for there when I overshoot it. The one on the left, I did a lot of messing around to get to that point. That section, the previous section, were by far where I decreased a lot of the actual gaming time. So Interstellar itself, I think I recorded for slightly over an hour. The recast, I think, was closer to half an hour. And just because you know where everything is, and you can just go right to it. A lot of the exploration looking for cool stuff was over by then. So if you look at the top markings too, you can see there's that sort of on switch sort of design on Dog there, and that is not present at all in the Interstellar version. So I think they changed a little bit more than just a straight one-to-one of what was in the game. So there's the last one for Recast. Now I just got to throw myself off the side because it's faster getting there that way. And I guess I'm throwing myself off the side in Interstellar as well. Alright, we're just going to park Recast here for a minute. Oh no, actually we're not. Oh yeah, we are. Why did I say that? We are. Alright. So, this one, that thing with all the little flashy lights there to the left of Dog, that actually is a zillion times better than the new one as well. But again, look at Interstellar. It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with this. Like, it's not bad at all. And I think in some ways, being able to go faster with Dog, I actually preferred somewhat in Interstellar. And this could, again, that just might be me believing that. That might not actually be true. I don't know if there's a speed difference, but I'm inclined to think there is. It just felt that way when I was playing it. You know, I think I would say on screen that this Dog here, the Interstellar, is somewhat larger than the other one as well. Alright, this one I just decided to backtrack all the way over there rather than crashing him. I should have crashed him. I don't know why I didn't. But I think this one I learned my lesson going for that pipe. Alright, so yeah, we're just going to backtrack, which is, I guess, not a great way of doing it, but like I said, this looks decent. I don't think that, like, visually, I don't really have too much of a problem with this. But I can see where they wanted to go for really intense sort of visuals. Alright, so anyway, we crash. Or something blows up in the mine. I have no idea what's going on. Here's interesting too. So when we come to, so you'll see the one on the left, we're actually at the crash site. On the one on the right, the Recast, we're actually on this whole cliff here above the whole thing. And naturally I screw around with canisters and everything else. The canisters, I don't think they spent a lot of time with this, because This part is looking fairly similar, where we find the androids. This one I wound up having to spend some time messing around as well. The android will get stuck if you don't blast the rocks well enough. And the one on the right, I'm looking for the rocks. There's an area where you have to blast through, and I'm trying to figure out where that is. The bullseye changes colors. That's how you know when you can interact with stuff. If it's white, you can't do anything. If it's green, you can do some things. If it's yellow, you can shoot it. Like, you get such a much better claustrophobic feeling, though, with the one on the right. Like, they just use shadows, like I said, again, contrast so much better. It's almost oppressive. It seems like the explosions are actually somewhat larger too in the regular Interstellar. But both, this section looks pretty good in both of them, I think. Again, it's just way higher detail though on the recast side. The exhaust looks a lot better here. Any of the darker areas, the exhaust looks a zillion times better. And so, yeah, there's the drone. Yeah, let's keep moving. This is nutty though, just like the differences here for the parts that are as identical as I can get it. It just, wow. Like I said, I think it's a good looking game that they took and made a very good looking game. Here we run into, so this doesn't make any sense to me. We have to go down to go up. I'm like, okay, whatever android guy. He just yeets himself right off there, just like, fuck it, going for it. I think the water looks good in both of them. You know, actually, though, I think in the original Interstellar, I think I actually prefer the water more there than I do to the recast. Water is not important at all to this, though, so. And there's some interesting stuff that actually happens on this section a little bit later on, too. Some of the bigger differences. There's some of the hints where something plutonium, which was one of the drones, wound up dragging itself to before it came in. Yeah, I like the water better on Interstellar actually than the original one. I think that it's kind of weird, but I think it actually is somewhat of a downgrade for a recast. I do like the explosions better, a lot better actually in Interstellar too, but that, again, I think that's just more personal taste than anything. The flashlight beam is a lot cooler though on Recast. It just lends it such an oppressive environment, just a nice claustrophobic sense of being in a cave. It does it way better than Interstellar, the original game does. So I'll trade that for a water effect that I prefer in the original. And for the shooty part also. If there was more of a shooty part to this, I might have objected to that a little bit. I really don't like actually what they did with Recast with the shooty things, but two elements out of all the rest, I guess, isn't that big of a deal. It's a game called Cat Interstellar, and we're playing as a drone called Dog. And the android that we actually start with at the beginning of the game, I have no idea what the fuck happens to him. Like, or her, whatever it is. I guess it. Whatever goes on there, just all of a sudden we're an android, and then we're suddenly this rover, this flying rover. I bet the Mars mission really, really wishes they had something like this, though. This sort of flyy thing that can shoot stuff and pick things up and everything else. These caves are so cool. This actually reminds me a little bit of Dear Esther. A game, by the way, which I played on this channel. You guys can check that out in the playlist if you're interested. The cave in Dear Esther is probably still one of the best ones, I think, in gaming in general. So why would an android use that sort of vernacular too? Oh, and then I found this area too on in Recast that I didn't notice or didn't exist in Interstellar. So I'm busy checking all that out. I think I wound up backtracking somehow in the regular Interstellar. One of the reasons I don't like water in cave levels particularly is because they're almost a bit too non-linear, and I get lost, and then I get kind of pissed because I don't want to be lost. Especially when they start making it timed. In this one, there's an earthquake going on, but it's not anything we need to worry about. Here we have to blow up statues. But yeah, no, I mean, this guy is right that there's, you know, somebody actually had to make these tunnels. I also like their dialogue bars and the way that they work on screen. It's pretty cool. I mean, I think if you're going to buy one of these two, I would say probably buy Recast unless you have an older system. Water looked really good there actually in that water floaty part right there. But anyway, I would say if you're only going to get one, get Recast. Just, it is so much better looking. See, there's all these air particles that don't seem to exist in Interstellar. There's no real change to the gameplay, but obviously visually it is a massive difference. Oh, we're in the chase sequence actually on Recast now. This part was kind of fun to play. And there I got hit by a rock. And you can see it is completely wrecking all my visuals, which is a cool touch. But Recast crashed. Bye, Recast. But that's okay because we were almost at the end anyway. So we're going to get into the chase sequence here in a second. Interstellar has the whole thing. And Interstellar, I think, is somewhat more stable. I think the reason it actually crashed in my initial playthrough was because I was trying to use the Xbox controller It doesn't seem to like that very much, but actually the keyboard and mouse work really, really well with this. So I don't think there's a reason to piddle around with the Microsoft controller. That one you can see I tried to shoot stuff. And I think I actually timed this well enough. I didn't actually get hit with anything in this part. You can see my screen is glitching out in the other one by this point. But this one, I figured that the rocks were just there as texture. I didn't know you actually had to avoid them, or even if you can avoid them. So I just thought, oh, we're home free at this point. Yeah, the water looks way better in the other one. When there's a lot of it, it was churning. This one, and I don't know where this fucking rock came from. Like, look at this, just out of nowhere. And there you go. And that guy ran for the light. I don't know if he made it or not. Probably not. And then we have chapter 5, which is credits. And I don't know if there actually is any. It starts us back on the ship. Okay, so there we have it. The Cat Interstellar versus Cat Interstellar. Obviously, there's a lot more footage in the original game. And you can see the recast actually crashed out before I even got to the end, but we were almost at the end anyway. So it's a really interesting game. It actually strikes me more as almost a walking simulator type game than anything else. I'm not 100% sure what it has to do with the Heinlein story, but it was an interesting game. There's a lot of cool visuals to it. And of course, a lot of my commentary about the differences was during the actual segment itself. So I don't think I have really too much to add to that right now. But we will be back in the very next video with a very new game and see what we can come up with. I don't know what that's going to be yet. And of course, we'll find out together. Hopefully we'll see you then. But of course, until that time, Spurs, as always, peace out.